basically since the start of mathematical functional science, and there's things that actually many functional science, in the other perspective we're going to see. So yeah, thanks for being here, and we look forward to the talk.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. So as I understand this last talk in person, so I'll try to make it short. Okay, so I will talk about the consonant learning model in qufinite factors. But first I will point out in mainstream the point of view of consciousness and matter is the physicalism, but there are two problems of physicalism. One is that the physicalism holds the view that consciousness must arise from matter, whose existence is independent of any consciousness. But that independency is forever suspended assumption, such that you cannot really verify it by any human beings, because human beings can only perceive any existence through their own consciousness. So you can't really verify this objectivity. And another one problem is the hard problem of consciousness. This term is introduced by David Chalmers. It has different formulations, but I would like to say like this: how to consciousness, no matter what kind of key features we have, people may have different definition of consciousness, but it always arises out of matter, so which doesn't have any features of consciousness, no matter how complicated the interaction they are. So this is also this formulation for hard problem of consciousness is also close to other people like Annika Harris. So basically they have these two problems, like the objectivity, which cannot be verified, and the hard problem of consciousness. So I would like to avoid this problem and not take matter as fundamental, but instead take consciousness as fundamental. And I want to try to follow a philosophy from Yogacara school. So this Yogacara school is basically it's also called consciousness only. It's one of the two main branches of Mahayana Buddhism. So the other one is a midway. So the key feature of the Yogacara philosophy is that is what they call consciousness only. That means there's nothing outside of all sentient beings' consciousness. No such objectivity matter. So it's actually why choosing to choose this philosophy framework is because it's a kind of very systematic, have a very systematic description of consciousness. But actually, it's not instead of one consciousness, it actually have 8 types of consciousness. The first 5 senses consciousness, like eyes, ear, nose, tongue, body consciousness, and mental consciousness, that's usual consciousness. And also there are another 2 that people usually are not aware of. It's mental consciousness and allied consciousness. So except for this systematic description of consciousness, it also satisfies the general principle of Buddhism, which is dependent on right. So of these 8 types of consciousness, the most important one, the 8th one, which is called allied consciousness. So it's also called another name is called root consciousness, or is seed consciousness. Because it has has all the seeds to generate other phenomena. So basically, that means the seeds they can generate. That means there are different potentialities in the RA consciousness. So that's basically is the idea is formalized in Chen Wei Shi by Xuan Zhang. So actually, the interesting is not only they have like very how to say like 8 types of consciousness. Also, the seeds, they have a kind of axiomatic way to describe them. So that it has 6 characters, so like 6 axioms to categorize it. So like for the first one is like they are instantaneous, and I don't want to read all of them, and is existent simultaneously with their fruits, and can always continue in a series, and is determined as to its moral species, and they require multiple conditions, and they lead to their own fruit. So this is the 6th one. So it has very axiomatic categorization for the seeds, and also as a whole consciousness, Array consciousness have some key features. So the first feature is that it's closeness. That means so you can't mix. Everybody has every sentient being has its own Array consciousness. You can't mix with others. So in this sense, it's a close. So actually, you can never really touch other sentient beings. You always your Array consciousness will always generate your own image and your feelings, whatever the phenomena. And the second feature is that so it will because to generate all the phenomena, it will host all the seeds of all the seeds which can generate the actual Dharma, you can see the visible seeds. So actually you can see this Array consciousness as a kind of a supercomputer, but with invisible hardware. And then how do we do this? If we want to model, we want to talk about take the consciousness as fundamental and use the philosophy of Yogacara. So how do we do that? So the first thing I think is we need a mathematical model, because without a mathematical model, there will be full of ambiguity, right? You always argue, but there's always a lot of ambiguity. So we want to have a mathematical model. So what kind of properties should this mathematical model satisfy? So first, I think the dependent arising is a key doctrine in Buddhism, so shared by all schools of Buddhism. So there should be this kind of dependent arising should be embodied in the model. And also, in particular, you should satisfy the doctrines of the Yoga philosophy. That's what I'm following. So that's the request. So basically, the method we use is based on this paper with Camilla and Elias. And so, in principle, how do we realize this dependent arising? So we want to use process theory as we use in that paper. So in principle, we want to do like this. So everything should be a process, even like a state. A state can be seen as a preparing process. And also it should be composition. That means several processes, they can be composed. They can be composed into a complicated process, right? From parts to the whole. And as a feature of dependent arising, so each process should not be defined by itself, like you define function based on a set. Not like that. It should be defined or specified by other processes. So I will show how this looks like in this model. So in general, so first, so we want to use because we want to use process theory, so it must be in symmetric monodic category. So due to the, as I said before, due to the closeness feature and of the Array consciousness, it's very natural, right? It's very natural to consider Array consciousness as a category, right? Because if you have a category is closed as to all of the operations, all of the computation, right? And so it's necessary to have a symmetrical monoid category. So what's the object? The object is a core of seeds which can generate all the phenomena. So the object is the types of the seed, all the types of the seeds. And the morphisms will be the kinds of processes which can transform the state of the seeds. So in this way, so each icon is included within a category. So they won't mix with each other. And in general, so we have two kinds of, in any symmetrical monoid category, we have two kinds of way to do composition. One is sequential composition, which means two processes they converge sequentially. That means they happen. These two processes they happen one after another. Another composition is parallel. So that means these two processes they happen simultaneously. So and if then each the type of if for any state you have how do you describe its state? So it can the type is from it should be a morphism from the unit object is which we usually denote by I, from I to any A. So A is the type of the seed. And on the other hand, if a seed can be destroyed, like discarded, and then it's the type will be the object from A to I. So that's the general one. And also, so if you how do you say the seeds can generate from Array containers can generate fruits. That means the actual gamut or the phenomenal things from Array containers. So this is modeled by a partial function because not all the seeds generate the fruit at the same time. So it's a partial function that some of the object they will have the image have a function from some of the object to another category. So like it depends. The other category depends the type of consciousness you are generating the actual phenomenon, like your seeing, your eye seeing, or the other feelings. Depends on the category you are considering. So basically it's a partial function, and so because it's a function, so you can keep the model species, so it's and the subtypes, and also if it is not generate any fruit of the seed, if a seed is not generate any fruit, then it evolves. It's like it is a kind of like it evolves without losing its properties. So it is kind of like the wave function, but wave function is evolving unitarily. But here I just let it to evolve in an invertible way. So I just need invertible morphism. Okay, so this is general symmetrical monoid category. So I want to fill in all the details. So because if you just have to very general thing, you can't do much, right? So I would like to use the qufinite ZXW categories. So basically, it is some spiders like the usual Z spider and the red spider. I will explain some of the cognitive meaning. So, and the dark spider, and the dashed square is an empty diagram, and you have the identity and any type with any type, and the swap and Dept and cut. So how do we realize this? So we first assume that this should, because this is a model, so it should be some assumption. So the first assumption is that I would like to assume that each seed type, it has a finite basic state. Let's say D. So D can vary on the seed type. So Y So why I do this? Because it's like, for example, it's like if the same type of if a same, like, let's consider same type of color. So like usually we know the color is we have the three base color like red, blue, and yellow, and the other colors can be represented by blending or like a kind of superposition with these three base one, right? So that's why I want to choose every type to have some basic states, and so to make them the behavior better, and so I would also like to assume that the basic states, they can be copied by Z spider. So because Z spider can be used to encode any phenomenon information. So I want them to be copied by Z spider and uniformly deleted. So what we can so this assumption can be made due to the fact the result by I think by Bob and the other and Dusk and Jamie. I think Bob mentioned this yesterday. So you can always find the Z spider which corresponding to a basis. So right. So as I said, the set is involving. They were involved, right? Using some unitary, invertible morphism. So you should be able to construct the invertible morphisms. And this is so here is a list of the invertible morphisms, which is the red with one output, and there is also there is the vector parameterized by a vector with input and output Z spider, and also there is a base with a W. And also this is kind of like a synod, this kind of like divider, and this is all. They are all invertible. So yeah, then you can basically, that means you can construct the invertible morphisms. And then how do we model the dependent arising? So here, now every conscious process of the Array consciousness is presented by diagram. Now everything is a diagram as a process. And how do you compose them? As I said, you just compose the diagram sequentially or in parallel. And how do we describe that each process should be not defined by itself, should be by other diagram. So basically, you just need to consider the generator. So each generator actually is specified other generators from the interactions according to some rules. Like for example, so if we for the basic states how do we specify this? So that means what are they? So what are their how do we know their properties? So what are they? So equivalent to what are their unique properties? So that means they can. So you can see from these rules. So it can be copied by the spider and it can be uniformly deleted by this dot. But just from these two you can't because J has D here J from 0 here J is from 0 to D minus 1. So you have D of them, D basic states. So how do you distinguish these states, right? So you also need the other generators like W1. So you can from the W you can actually distinguish them. So for example, the case 0, J is equal to 0, then it can be just copied by the W. And if it's not 0, then it can be so if you plug in these nodes on the left of the W, you get another Z box. So this is diagrammatic way. So it is diagrammatic way to distinguish the basic states. So that's an example. So that means every generator they can be they can be specified by other generators, not by itself. So this in this sense it's a kind of dependent, right? Yeah. So I didn't explain about the cognitive meaning of the generators. But if you're interested, you can look at this paper by Camille, me, and Bob. So yeah, I think that's all. Thank you.
We have lots of time for questions. Who has a question? Go ahead, please.
So how does your theory connect with empirical evidence?
With what, sir?
With empirical evidence.
Empirical evidence? Not yet. This is the very framework. So yeah.
But is there any how do you imagine it can possibly?
Possibly, yeah. So basically, so possibly is actually I didn't mention that the detail. So the Allen function is a constant, so it can have perceived division and perceiving division. So the perceived division is the physical word. So basically, you need to describe the actually. You also need to describe the physical word. So in my first paper, I used a function from. So the physical word is I assume is made of basic systems. No matter what it is, must be some basic systems which I also assume it's a base quantum theory. So in general, like in the category in process theory, described as process theory. So I would like to connect them with the function. Yeah.
Any other questions? Kobe, I saw your hand doing like this. Oh, Hayato, sorry, didn't see you, then the Kobe after.
I am a half Buddhist, so I'm happy to hear that. But I have two questions.
Yeah.
One question is interpretation of dependent arising. If my understanding is correct, very original Buddhist thoughts and Madhyamaka type, Naravision type interpretation is some kind of without A, no B type. So without A, no B.
Yes, I know that one. Actually, that's very good. Sorry, I don't want to mention that one. I thought about that one. Yeah, because this is your toilet philosophy. So what is that the minimum one? But actually, that's a very good point because this one you can describe. I didn't present here, but you can describe in the process theory as exactly what Bob did for causality process, causal process. You can explain it that way. Yeah. Maybe if I have time, I can explain to you the detail later.
So the second question is, it is meta level. In meta level, it is very related question, but as my understanding, like Yogacara philosophy, also in Yogacara philosophy, the alaya consciousness is also some kind of ultimately hypothetical working hypothetical thing, because it is ultimately considered as some kind of no substance. So it is just how to say pedagogical working hypothesis, because no substance. So,
seed, yes, like seed is the function, is a potentiality, but it has types. Yeah, that's why I describe the types.
Okay, I think we can discuss it.
Okay.
I have similar questions actually. So I think, well, of course, there are lots of schools of Buddhism, and but if at least the schools that did try to kind of unify Madhyamaka and Yogacara, I think they would object slightly to what you were saying. And first thing, your assumption that the different alayas don't interact. I mean, you're giving kind of the alaya some ultimate reality, or it contradicts the no self theory.
No, independent enlightenment is not contradicting.
Well, there are no selves. I mean, there's no kind of ultimately. So
yeah, that's why dependent enlightenment.
Yeah, but if you can apply this to the theory itself, and I think even kind of Vasubandhu and others did this with Yogacara. I mean, you can there were people who took it seriously as describing some ultimate reality, but I think ultimately, I mean, if you look at the description of what is enlightenment, so how is the Buddha different from the rest of us?
Yeah.
So the end of karma would be kind of the cleansing of this alaya. So it actually disappears, and actually the Buddha does have access to all of our consciousness. I mean, we might kind of disagree if that's possible.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, but the alaya consciousness is especially to the human, the sentient beings which really didn't get the enlightenment.
Well, but even from that perspective, I mean, there is again, depending on the school, the kind of statement that we are all already Buddhas, and it's just kind of because we didn't cleanse our kind of we don't perceive our Buddha nature that we.
We did. Yeah, we did.
So just as a suggestion, you can imagine, that for instance, you can have like another process theory. Like a big process theory, like a category, and these could be just, you can have like symmetrical model category objects in your category, which are kind of, they're imaginary, they don't exist by themselves, they're part of this bigger theory, and by some process they can actually dissolve. And of course this bigger process theory might be another bigger process theory, and maybe this is an infinite process of dissolving, but I think kind of, even if you take kind of, I think your interpretation of Yogacara is maybe slightly too strict even for Yogacara's philosophy itself. But I'm not sure.
But actually this is a part of, because actually in Yogacara philosophy, this is a part of, it's not a four model, it's not a four, actually I didn't describe four theory. So like you said, if like there are for a Bodhisattva, you have 10 levels. So on the 8th level, you actually discuss the name of alaya. There's another name. Yeah. So that's So that's not a full thing. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, but I think the point is that kind of for enlightenment to be possible, it's impossible that something needs to be created. That kind of the alaya is really just again an illusion in some sense. It's true.
Yeah, it's not purified, but the thing is why it makes sense to describe it in a clear way is it helps you. Actually, it tells you what's the problem you have, the main problem what you have, some very deep what you have, right? Then you know how to deal with it. How to purify. Yeah.
Okay, big thank you to the speaker.